Hi, my name is Steve. In this series of videos, I'm going to show you how you can make this jewelry box. One of the interesting features about it are the curved sides, and I'll show you how to do that on a table saw. It also has this medallion piece with a stippled pattern on it, and I'll show you how to do that. If you open up the box, it has a mirror inside and walnut trays that are removable and velvet lined for earrings, necklaces, and whatnot. Now, this whole box is made out of leftover wood from my chessboard project, which you can also see on YouTube if you like. It's just maple. I've got a little bit of cherry on top and of course the walnut inside. So we'll go ahead and get started and see if we can build one of these. To start out the project, I want to start with the sides. And the sides have the cove in them, which is going to be a tricky cut. I've never done this before, so I'm going to use my table saw. And the way I've done this is I set the blade at a 45-degree angle, and I set up a little template here that has an opening I cut to the exact dimensions that I want the cove to be. So in this case it's 2 1/4 inches wide, and then I tipped it to its side, raised the blade up 3/8 of an inch, and marked where the blade enters the wood and exits the wood, and then I can remove the template. Now what I'll do is I'll run the wood along this way very slowly. In an ideal world, my blade would go down below the top of the table, but my table saw is not very good, and so it only drops down 3/8 of an inch, or it comes up 3/8 of an inch. So what I'm going to have to do is run it through on the top in several passes, just kind of carefully working my way down. So it's going to be a tricky cut. Okay, with that first pass, I get a really choppy cut, and it was just because I was just kind of holding it against this fence and dropping it in, so it's probably not the best way to do it, but eventually I'll keep working my way down until it gets all cut through. With that final cut, I get a fairly smooth cove that I can sand this down, and that'll be great. I'm going to try to make a sanding block. I've got some styrofoam insulation. I'm just going to line the edge of that cove that I cut up to the styrofoam and make a mark like so. Okay, with that line cut in the block, I'm just going to take it to my bandsaw and just cut along the line. And right there, now I've got a sanding block that matches the shape of the profile. I really wish there was some way to machine sand this, but with the shape of that profile, there's just no other way to do it than just pure elbow grease. Okay, I spent a lot of time sanding out all these coves, but they're real nice and smooth now. And these are going to be the 2 side pieces for the box, and I've already cut those, and you can see how they're going to join up very nicely. Now, what I got to do here is I've set up a stop block here. The side pieces are 8 1/4 inches long, and the front and the back pieces are 12 1/4 inches long. So I've got a stop block on this set up for 12 1/4 inches, and I've set my blade, I've kept it at the 45-degree angle it was at when I cut the coves. So now it'll be a matter of just running both of these through and getting that 45-degree cut. I want to make some sort of a joint for the corner pieces just to give it some extra strength. So what I'm going to do is cut a slot in the ends of each piece that I can put splines in. That'll help give it strength when I glue it up. The trick here is to make sure that this cut isn't so deep that it cuts through the cove on the other side, so I've got it set back maybe a 1/16 of an inch or so. So on the table saw, what I've done is I've left the blade at 45-degree angle, and I have set up a fence on this side so they'll all be in the same location when I run it through. And this takes a few tests, and you want to do some scrap wood first before you get started on that. Okay, now I've got all of the slots cut for the splines, and if you'll notice this curve, it's called a parabolic curve, and it's a little bit deeper on this side and shallower over here. So now I need to cut all of the pieces to width, and so I'm going to take just a little bit off the top, and the bottom of the sides will be much narrower. So I've set up a fence, and we'll just run them through. Got to make sure I've got the right side going, and I'll take a little bit off of the top part. Now I just need to rip the other side, which will be the bottom. It'll set like so, and this side is much narrower strip than the top, which is a little bit beefier. So I move the fence over this way, and I'll just be able to run the pieces straight through. Now I just need to cut these splines that, when they're attached, will make a nice strong corner. And to do that, I've got a scrap piece of maple, and I'm going to run it through the saw blade this way, and it'll cut just a thin strip. I'll do one on each side and then cut them in half. And you want to make sure that the grain is going against the grain of the sides, just to give it some extra strength. And now with both of those cuts made, I'll just take it over to my chop saw and carefully cut them out. And there are the two spines. And I've gone ahead and set this up with the splines in. I haven't glued it up yet, but I wanted to see how they were going to fit. And you can see that there's a little bit of play in there. You're going to need a little extra room for the glue to expand and make a tight joint. And I also cut these a little bit longer so that once it's all glued up, I can just shave it off on the top. And now I've got it all clamped up using a band clamp, and I put some soft pads on here just because of that curve. I'm afraid that these clamps on here might mar the finish. So you don't have to clamp it up really tight. The glue is going to do all of the work. But so I'll let this dry for a while, and I can move on to the rest of the project. And now that it's all dried up, I'll just take a saw and saw off those splines.